Hey, muy buena gente, bienvenidos al canal y bienvenidos de nuevo a Judgment, de los Judgment. Bienvenidos a todos, a todas. Y bueno, gente, he decidido hacer ya gameplay, gente, porque los directos iban fatal últimamente. La gente no daba apoyo bastante. Y nada, vamos a seguir ya con los gameplays. Ya son todas series que van a ir viniendo, van a ser gameplays. Hasta ya veremos a ver qué pasa. Así que bueno, nada, chicos, muchas gracias a todos. Vamos a seguir por donde le habíamos dejado con los Judgment. Y nada, vamos a ello. Vamos a ver. Vale, vamos a seguir con esto. Vale, las cámaras no captan de nada todo el rato. Y la prueba es... A ver por aquí.
What the?
Aquí, examinar. Aquí es donde los testigos se atraparon en Nara. Muchos otros grabaron las escenas con sus teléfonos móviles. Vale. Pues espérate, entonces tendré que coger y ponerme... Espera un momento, gente. A ver aquí. Vale, por aquí. Bien, vamos a ver. Esto estaba...
Suspicious.
O grabo este en gameplay y los demás. Ya iré viendo, gente. Ya iré viendo. Esta flecha indica la trayectoria que Nara y la víctima siguieron por el andén. Acaba donde pillaron a Nara. ¿Vale?
Ajá.
Sí, este es el lugar que estaba buscando. Aquí ahora. Vale, ya está.
It's very brief, but there's a moment where Ehara and Mamiya-san can't be seen by the security cameras. The dotted lines on the arrow represent the camera's blind spot.
It does appear so. So you're saying this is where the groper, the fake Ehara, traded places with the real one?
Can't say it's impossible, right?
Right. Except if that actually happened, Mamiya-san would have been right behind them at the time. Could the two really swap places without her noticing?
In a crowd like that, I think it's feasible.
If that really was Ehara's plan, then I'd say he was being careless.
Careless? How?
Well, on the day of the incident, the station was packed for morning rush hour. That means there was no solid guarantee the assailant could make the switch. He could have been nailed by any random passerby before reaching the blind spot.
Good point. Not only that, if Mamiya-san had called for help while the train was still moving, then the first Ehara would have been caught before even reaching the platform.
Oh, I mean, yeah! Called it.
Think about it, Yagami-san. Why would Ehara's accomplices meticulously plan out every last detail of this alibi, only to leave such a crucial component to chance, as Hoshino-kun pointed out?
Oh, just doing my job.
True. Good work, Hoshino-kun. In fact, I think that may back up my own take on it.
Yeah?
What if everything, including the appearance of leaving the plan to chance, was part of the plan?
Can you expound on that?
I'm saying I agree that such an airtight alibi wouldn't have allowed for contingencies. And that takes the question to another level. Just how far did they line up the pieces in advance to make the swap work?
Are you saying there's more to it than we discussed? What did we miss?
Si el día de Nara incluyó el asesinato, estuvo planeado al dedillo. Podemos deducir que... Sigue vivo. Puede seguir vivo el pavo ese, ¿no? Vamos a verlo.
Hiro Mikashiba has to still be alive, meaning the body found in Ijincho was someone else's.
Well, Kanagawa PD already determined that the body belonged to Hiro Mikoshiba. The body had been decomposing for 2 months, but they were still able to match his prints and dental records.
Of course.
Was that all? You made it sound like you had this whole thing figured out.
No, hang on. Something just hit me. Ehara secured his alibi for the murder by swapping with a stand-in at the Shinjuku Station blind spot. For them to be able to pull that off, a certain possibility comes to mind.
Right, so what exactly would that be?
Si el día de Nara incluyó el asesinato, estuvo planeado al dedillo. Podemos deducir que el verdadero asesinato sucedió en Kamurocho. La acusación fiscal de las imágenes. Mamiya se confabuló. A ver esto.
I know this won't go over well, But what if Mamiya was colluding with Ehara all along?
Huh?
Bear with me. Let's say Mamiya was in on this, and knew about the imposter in advance. If that's the case, the swap could happen right in front of her and no one but the three of them would know.
You're saying the victim of a groping conspired with her assailant beforehand? That's ridiculous.
No es imposible. ¿Cabe la posibilidad de que Yui Mamiya forme parte de esta conspiración?
Let me just say, I'm only trying to work out how a swap like that will be guaranteed to work. Now, if Ehara and his stand-in both know that Mamiya will pretend not to have seen them, they can trade places in the blind spot with impunity. Conversely, if Mamiya wasn't in on the plan, the idea of a swap would never work. We can say with certainty that she would have seen the swap, so... She could have even called attention to the real Ehara the moment he stepped in. That way, the people around her would be focused on chasing the correct assailant. The rest is as we know it. They caught Ehara and detained him until the police showed up.
Hold that thought. If your theory is accurate, what about Ehara's trace evidence? Remember that fibers of the victim's underwear were detected on his hand.
Well, that can also be explained by Mamiya being in on the plan. For example, while the stand-in was showing himself at the security cameras, Mamiya could have easily provided Ehara access to a pair of underwear at the same time. Maybe the stand-in loitered around for so long because he was letting everyone else get themselves in place.
It's not impossible.
We can work out the other details later. But the point is, Ehara's murder alibi is shot if Mamiya was involved. In summary, it's possible Ehara disgraced himself to secure an unshakable alibi for Mikoshiba's murder.
I'll concede that it's an avenue worth pursuing.
And when it comes to the prosecution, they can't just admit they got the first case so wrong. Plus, they can't question Ehara about Mikoshiba's murder. In fact, their only option is to claim the tape was faked.
So he managed to make a farce out of the system after all.
Well, his court case for his son's bullying did get more or less thrown out, didn't it? The school, the investigative committee, and the court all agreed there wasn't enough evidence to convict anyone. No surprise for me that the guy held a grudge against the system for so long.
Hold on. Before we all decide on this,
What's up?
the obvious question to me is why would Mamiya be party to such a crime? She appears more than financially stable, and she's even raising a child. So why would she do something so enormously risky as helping establish a murder alibi?
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far yet. But maybe she was promised something that far exceeds the risk. Or maybe Ehara has some kind of dirt on her even?
Enough to make her help with a murder? What sort of secret would be big enough to force someone into that corner?
Un policía de 52 años y una madre oficinista casada. La única conexión entre ellos hasta ahora es la estación.
What info do we have on Mamiya anyway? Maybe we can spot a connection to Ehara through her profile.
I'll pull her information. Just a second.
Oh, I just thought of something else those two would have guaranteed by working together.
What's that?
If Ehara wanted to use this crime as a murder alibi, he needed it to blow up into the public eye. But if he had chosen a victim who stayed silent, then nothing would have come of it. A solid plan would need to eliminate that variable, which means Mamiya being an accomplice was crucial to Ehara's success.
That's true.
Looks like Ehara pulled one over on the prosecution then. Had his accomplices right where he wanted them, even his victim. Once we learn how he's connected to Mamiya, we can root out the rest of his team.
Let's see. According to her file, her maiden name is Yui Suzuki. 30 years old, so that's consistent. Originally from Ota, Tokyo. Attended a private high school called Kurakawa Academy. Later graduated from Toto University.
Huh.
Met her husband on the job, apparently. Her husband, Taichi Mamiya, is an industrial designer at Techno Zeta Inc. 6 years ago, she gave birth to their only son, Sotakun, who's now in first grade.
Hold on. You said she went to Kurokawa Academy? I heard that name in Ijincho. If I recall correctly,
¿No es donde se graduó Sasukoma?
that's not where Tsukuma went, was it? Before, closing himself off to the world?
Nah, Tsukumo-san studied remotely. He told me that when we were out having drinks one night.
Wait, Tsukuma went out drinking with you?
Yeah, we had fun.
What did you guys even talk about?
Hey, why am I getting grilled all of a sudden?
I agree. This is nowhere near relevant. Yagami-san, what were you saying about Kurokawa Academy?
Oh, right.
¿Dónde he ido a hablar del Instituto Kurokawa? Juraría que ha sido hace poco. Alguien que me espiaba fue allí. Ahora.
When I went to scope out the murder scene, there were these 3 guys watching the detectives and me. They told us they were just checking things out. They mentioned they're Kurokawa grads too.
You have any ID on you?
Will my license work?
Akake-san, age 30.
Akaike-san, age 30. Mommy is 30 as well.
What's that got to do with anything? Aren't we trying to find a connection between Mamiya and Ehara?
I found the Kurokawa Academy website. Looks like they're pretty prestigious. It's in Tokyo, specifically in Ota. Pretty close to where Mamiya lived. Oh,
What?
the girls there get such cute uniforms.
You little... You want to start all over from the bar exam?
Wait, I've seen that uniform before too, actually.
Where?
On an old picture of a teacher at Serio High, Sawa-sensei. Ehara's son had confided in her. Is she actually a Kurokawa grad too? I don't know Sawa-sensei's exact age, but she could well be 30. Maybe all of them are even classmates.
Could this mean they're actually linked? The victim and her up-to-now unrelated assailant?
It's a tenuous link at best. Could fall apart any time. But no true detective alive would pass it up.
Vale. Mira, ya hemos cambiado. Vale, hemos pasado del 5 al anteriormente.
A previously unseen link is established between the groper and the victim. Charting out their relationship is akin to tracing a spider's web. But with each false thread ruled out, only the improbable truth remains. Ehara orchestrated the groping as a diversion, and by tarnishing his name, he secures both an alibi and his ultimate revenge.
Genial, tío. Capítulo 6, llamas convergentes. Vale, y son 12, gente. Nos quedan otros 6. No lo sé cómo lo vamos a hacer. Es que, tío, este en directo no va bien. La mitad de la gente que tengo no les mola. No les mola este
Hiro
juego.
Mikoshiba's murder was sparked by the bullying of Toshiro Ehara, who committed suicide 4 years ago. The graphic video that hit the net showed the world how Toshiro's father, Akihiro Ehara, had brutally avenged his son. We also know the father had accomplices. On October 7th at 6:30 a.m., they forced Mikoshiba into a vehicle, took him to an abandoned building, and gravely injured him. Then, around 7:30 a.m., the time frame when Ehara killed Mikoshiba, the other conspirators were probably nearby, even though they weren't on camera.
At the same time, 30 kilometers away at Ikebukuro Station, a man who looks like Ehara is caught on camera. We'll call that guy the stand-in. The stand-in made sure he was in front of the cameras for more than an hour before boarding the 9:06 a.m. train, the same one Yui Mamiya was on. After committing sexual battery on that train, he meets the real Ehara in the camera's blind spot, and they change places. That's how he established a false alibi for Mikoshiba's murder. And to achieve this, the victim, Yui Mamiya, had to have been in on it from the start.
Sure are a lot of people getting their hands dirty for Ehara. Mamiya, Ehara stand-in on the train, the guys who kidnapped Mikoshiba. How did some troubled cop manage to recruit so many allies?
Well, one person that comes to mind who might be the key to all this is Yoko Sawa. She's a teacher at Serio High. She was the only adult Toshiro-kun ever told about the bullying, and she supervised Mikoshiba as a teacher before he disappeared. On top of that, she's a Kurokawa Academy graduate, same as Mamiya. Those trespassers at the murder scene were also from Kurokawa. Since they're all about the same age, it's possible they were all classmates.
So you're saying these classmates are also Ehara's murder accomplices?
If we consider Yoko Sawa the central link, that's very possible. We do know that as a teacher, she felt deep remorse for Toshiro-kun's suicide. Maybe she recruited her old classmates to help Ehara take his revenge.
Yeah, best not to rule that out. Though I'm hoping that's not the case.
Why's that?
It's just, she's a really good teacher. She's passionate, responsible. She's always putting the students first. I know she regrets the past, that a student died on her watch. And now another of her students, Mikoshiba, is found murdered. So if it turns out she's involved in that, I doubt I'll be able to trust my own judge of character ever again.
Yagami.
I'm going back to Ijincho tomorrow. The plan is to bring up Mamiya's name to Sawa-sensei and see how she reacts. Until then, let's not jump to conclusions about her involvement.
All right.
Can I chime in real quick? I was looking into Kurokawa Academy and I stumbled across something that may be relevant.
What's that?
Well, it happened 13 years ago, but there was an attempted suicide. A third year jumped off the school's roof after being thoroughly humiliated.
Un suicidio por acoso escolar hace 3 años. Isawa me habló de ello. Si no recuerdo mal, el estudiante sobrevivió, pero sigue en coma.
Actually, Sawa-sensei mentioned that. She said it was a boy in her class.
Right, that's gotta be the same case then. The student's name was Mitsuru Kusamoto. He's 30 now, but still in a coma.
Huh, and all that info's on the net?
It wouldn't be normally, but his mother happens to be Vice Minister of the Ministry of Health. Ever heard the name Reiko Kusamoto?
Not once.
I have. It was on the news. They were talking about her and her son.
Los viceministros están por encima de la mayoría de los funcionarios. Kusumoto es muy influyente en el ministerio.
Well, do you remember the uproar in the health ministry when Vice Minister Ichinose got arrested? Apparently, his successor couldn't contain the resulting chaos, which is when Kusamoto-san got tapped to lead. They couldn't afford another criminal scandal, so her promotion was out of the blue. She was a safe choice, a veteran with tenure and experience. Not to mention, her son's tragedy made people see her as a more sympathetic figure. Very popular. She's kind of a new generation heroine, so to speak.
Huh.
Is any of that relevant to the case at hand, though?
Who knows? But Reiko Kusamoto and Ehara both have children who were bullying victims. I don't think that's a connection we can afford to overlook, if you ask me.
Okay, so Kusamoto's son. What exactly happened to him?
Let's see. He was bullied by a fellow third year at his school, Shinya Kawai. The records say he harassed Mitsuru-kun every day, in and out of school. Well, one time he even stuffed dirty rags in his mouth.
That's so cruel.
Yeah, and the teacher was a real piece of work. Apparently he knew, but he just smirked and said, "Don't overdo it."
Oh, I remember now. The media pounced on that one hard.
If they were classmates, then both Sawa-sensei and Mamiya would know about this.
And maybe because they couldn't save Mitsuru-kun, their guilt left them open to Ehara's persuasion.
But to prove that, we'll have to hear from them directly. I'll talk to Sawa-sensei first thing tomorrow.
That'd be helpful. In the meantime, I'll be working on Ehara's appeal. It's clear they missed something important in the trial, since Ehara is apparently innocent of sexual battery. Being that he was out committing murder at the time.
What started as a simple harassment case sure has blown up big.
Al final tiene mucha amiga, ya te digo, y empezó por un acoso sexual. Me cago en 10, tío. Vale, será mejor que regrese a la oficina. Vámonos. Descansa en la agencia de detectives. Vámonos de aquí. A ver. Sí, yo creo que mejor va a ser esta serie subirla en gameplay, ¿sabéis? Ya me procuraré grabar por las mañanas un poco hasta que la acabemos. Mientras tanto, los otros juegos que vayan bien, eso sí, los subiremos en directo. Chicos, ¿qué os parece así? Yo creo que va a ser la mejor opción. Ya veremos, a ver cómo va viendo de aquí a que terminemos el año. Si van bien los directos, seguiremos haciendo directos. Si no, nos dedicaremos al gameplay, tío. Ya está, como hacíamos antes, ¿sabéis? Así que nada, vamos a ver cómo va viendo, se va viendo los días. Este lo subiremos ya en gameplay, todo lo que quede ya de juego. Y ya está, tío. Ya grabaré un ratito por las mañanas, ¿sabéis? Y ya está. ¿Qué pasa aquí? ¡Vamos ya! Toma, campeón. Uy. Oye. Vamos, fuera. ¡Hola, chaval! ¡Qué pata! ¡Qué hostia me han pegado! Vamos ya a tu casa. Buena. Se acabó.
What a waste.
Genial. Eso de detalles, tío. Buah, pues no hay cosas que hacer aquí. Vámonos. No, el monopatín no te lo saques, tío. Solo quiero correr nada más. Vale, vamos a ver por aquí. No. Ah, mirad cómo mola, tío. Vaya. ¿Y esto qué? Vaya. ¿Qué es esto? Fighting Beepers. Vale, ya me pondré a trabajar más tarde. Ah, qué guay. Nada, solo por probar. ¿Qué es esto? Inserte coins. ¿Qué cojones? ¿Pero qué es esto, tío? Tokio. Madre, es un... No sé qué será, vamos a probarlo ya que estamos. Razer. Más que nada para enseñaros un poco cómo va todo, ¿sabéis? Inserte coins. Qué bueno. Venga, hombre. A ver a quién cojo. A este, venga. Hostia, es un juego de lucha, tío. Míralo. ¡Hostia, niño! ¡Hostia, qué guapo! Venga, a cobrar. Qué bueno, ¿no? Cómo mola esto, tío. Esto está muy guapo. Vamos. Qué guapo, cómo mola. Toma, perfecto. Cago en la leche, tío. Madre mía, que todo está bueno esto, tío. Fighting Vipers contra no sé qué. No, vamos a dejarlo ya. Así puedo salir de aquí, ¿eh? Espérate, ¿cómo salgo? Salir. Sí, vamos a salir. Más que nada pues, para enseñaroslo, ¿sabéis? No vamos a estar aquí. Ya me lo jugaré yo tranquilamente. ¿Sabéis? Más que nada para enseñaroslo cómo va. El Sony, como... Qué guapo, tío. Bueno, va, vámonos. Uy, perdone, señora. Este juego es que lo tenía que haber subido. Los juegos que no funcionen bien los subo en gameplay y ya está, tío. Me quito de movidas. Bueno, movidas, ya ves que tú verás qué movidas. Va. Descansa. Descansa en el sofá, sí. Vale, ya está. Este ya lo grabaré un rato por las mañanitas hasta que me lo acabe. No, sí, bueno, lo bueno de los directos es que le hemos dado caña. Los primeros directos. Ya lo restante viene todo ya en gameplay. El restante de esta serie.
Wait a minute. What?
Yo, you took your sweet time. But I got the gist of it. You're going to Ijincho, right? To meet with Sawa-sensei?
Kaito-san, you do realize that only I can meet her. You can't get into the school.
I know, but if you end up taking it off campus, can you at least call me this time?
Don't you understand the situation? Sawa-sensei might be tied to murder.
You sure you understand it? Come on, she would never do that.
That a fact?
So happens I'm a great judge of character. Especially when it comes to women.
Sometimes I forget who I'm talking to.
Vale. Hay que ir a hablar con la profesora ahora al instituto, tío. Ve a Hichinko este. Vámonos. Oh, chaval. Siempre me pasaba lo mismo en el 1 igual. Vale, hay que coger un taxi, ¿no? A ver dónde hay un taxi ahora. Creo que había uno por aquí. Creo que por aquí no hay taxis, tío. La leche. Vale, allí hay un taxi, tío. Perdone usted. A ver. Entramos. Sí, 400, 100. Calle oeste. ¿Qué es eso? Allí. Vamos para allá. Bien, caballero. Pase usted. En marcha. Sí, haremos unos 43 minutos, 44, 45, depende. Como se nos dé el gameplay.
Well, first stop, it's gotta be Chinatown. Can't face Tsukumo on an empty stomach.
Never a dull day for you, huh, Kaito-san?
It's a selection, man. I've already worked out the math. I figure if I hit 4 or 5 places a day...
What? What's up?
Check that out.
Hostias.
It's Akutsu.
Hostias.
Kamurocho thugs are looking pretty out of place here.
Yo! Akutsu! What are you fools doing in town? Hey! Don't ignore me! It's Kaito! Fancy seeing you here!
I'm kinda busy here, man. Catch you later.
What an asshole. Ijincho's a long way from home. And he's traveling with a small army.
Would he have come all this way because of us?
Nah, we just caught him totally off guard. He's not out here for us. Gotta be something else.
But something's not right if they're just cruising around. It's gotta be an RK operation. He brought too many guys for it to be something more personal.
Yeah. Kamurocho streets can be tough. Maybe they gave up. Well, whatever they came out here to do, we ought to keep our noses the hell out of their business. But you better hustle. You're gonna be late for class. I'll catch you after school.
Vale, tío. Genial. Vale, debería dirigirme al instituto de medio. Tengo que descubrir si está relacionada con Sawa. Vale, vámonos. ¿Dónde está eso? Ah, por cierto, espérate. Bueno, ¿dónde está? Allí. Aquí hay misiones secundarias también, pero no tengo ni idea cómo van. Así que mira, ya las haré, gente. A ver, tengo habilidades, ¿no? Tengo 5000, vale, vamos a coger algo de la serpiente que lo tengo muy abandonado. Esta, por ejemplo, añade un golpe adicional al bloquear el fase de furia. Vamos allá. Genial, tenemos 754, no hay nada más, bueno, nada más, hay bastantes, pero bueno. Aquí 700, mira esta. Al seguidor de los objetos consigue 5 segundos adicionales para... Vamos allá. Más que nada para gastar. Para gastar. Vámonos. Goma vieja. Pero bueno, gente, que como lo tengo en físico, pues, o sea, en físico, lo tengo en digital, en el juego, pues lo puedo rejugar a vez que pueda, ¿sabes? Cuando no tenga casi juego, pues lo rejuego un día que pueda. Ya está. ¿Y estos qué? ¿Y estos qué? ¿Qué pasa con estos, tío? ¡Hola! Vamos, fuera. Venga, vamos. Qué capullo, cómo se lo para. Toma, párate esto. Ahí estamos, párate eso también. Vamos ya. Ahí estamos, toma. Y tenía que haberle dado al otro también, tío. Sí, le he dado, creo que sí. Bien, vámonos. Sé que vamos a ser sinceros, si no tendríamos casi 30.000 o 40.000 suscriptores en el canal, la gente no te da apoyo a los directos. Es que es tontería. Y son lo mismo, 70.000 o 40.000 suscriptores. Y es así, lo mismo no le dan, ¿sabes? No sé, qué quiere que os diga. Pero bueno. Vale, vamos a ver dónde está la profesora. Ya digo, por la mañana lo grabaré un par de capítulos hasta que me lo vaya acabando. Ya está. Y lo tendréis todos los días, a partir de las 12 de la mañana. Los tenéis todos los días. El juego. Y ya está, chicos. Yo grabaré un rato por la mañana, ya os digo, y fuera, tío. Se acabó. Venga, vámonos. ¿Dónde estaba la profesora, tío? Por aquí. Por aquí. Aquí, quieto. Aquí está. Vale, bien.
Oh. What is it, Yagami-san?
Sensei, do you have a minute?
I saw the video of Mikoshiba-kun.
So you did. That video, right?
I thought Ehara-san was convicted for a sex offense. How could he be in that video killing Mikoshiba-kun? But then that video looked so real.
Most likely it is. As you unfortunately had to witness, Ehara-san committed murder with his own 2 hands. Which means as far as the groping that day goes, there's some deception at work.
Deception?
Are you familiar with Ehara-san's victim in the case? Her name is Yui Mamiya.
I don't think I recognized her, no.
13 years ago, she attended Kurakawa Academy. Her maiden name is Yui Suzuki.
Yui Suzuki? Just a minute. Are you saying she was the one Ehara-san groped?
So you do know her then? Were you 2 classmates?
We were, in our 3rd year of high school.
I had a hunch. You didn't know she was the victim of that whole incident?
I mean, it's just so hard to believe.
Does this all seem like a wild coincidence to you then? Your old student's father gropes one of your high school classmates at a station with 3 million daily travelers.
What are you implying?
I'm saying your old friend Yui might be cooperating with Ehara-san, as in she only played the part of a victim. She might have even known it was all to hide a murder.
What? But why? Why would she do that for him?
Parece que no sabe si hay alguna relación entre Nara y Yui Mamiya. Si está haciéndose la loca, se le da de lujo actuar. Sí, se la da de lujo. Vale, otros 600 pavos. 100 pavos y lo otro.
From where I'm sitting, Sensei, you're connected to Ehara and Yui Mamiya. I just need your help figuring out what that connection is.
Yagami-san, please. Are you implying I was some kind of liaison between them?
Well, Sensei, what was your relationship with Yui Mamiya? Were you close? Or would you say classmates covers it?
The two of us were never really that close. To be honest, I didn't really like the group of kids she hung out with. I guess you could say we didn't have the same interests.
When was the last time you saw her? Did you have a high school reunion by any chance?
They held a reunion around the time I graduated from college, but I didn't feel like going. That same class bullied a kid into jumping off the roof.
So if that's the case, you haven't seen any of your classmates since you all graduated from Kurokawa?
That's right.
Okay then. The thing is, Ehara-san and Mamiya are connected. It is kinda loose, but it's there. They have one thing in common.
What?
In both of their pasts, someone they knew was bullied to the point of attempting or committing suicide. Ehara-san lost his son, Toshiro-kun, and as for Yui Mamiya, it's her classmate, Mitsuru Kusamoto. That could be a factor, especially for Mamiya. It's possible that Ehara-san would be a sympathetic figure to her. Maybe enough to help construct an alibi for his revenge. It's possible she only played the part of a groping victim. What do you think? Does it have any merit, or is my theory full of holes?
Even if you're on the right track...
Sawa-sensei? We're just waiting on you to start the staff meeting.
Sorry, I'll be right there.
What happened 13 years ago at Kurokawa? That might be the last piece of the puzzle. What about Yui Mamiya? How'd she react when Mitsuru Kusamoto tried to kill himself by jumping off that roof?
I'm sorry, I'm already late for my meeting.
I'm trying to ask you about a murder here. To Ehara, every unanswered question is a victory for that man. He's only a step away from walking for it. And I know Mamiya had other conspirators. It took more than one person to murder Mikoshiba. They're still at large, even as we speak. I'll be honest. I came here today with a suspicion that you might be more involved in this murder than you're letting on.
A suspicion?
Nothing you've said has made me feel any better about
Toma ya, y sigue pensándolo, ¿eh?
And what should I do about that, huh?
I just want you to tell me, how are Ehara-san and Mamiya connected beyond what I've already figured out? I think you have the key to that answer, even if you don't know that you're the one holding it. It's like a lock, and until I figure out how to get through it, I'm gonna keep picking at it.
I told you, I'm late for a meeting.
I'll be here when you get back. Have a good meeting.
Suit yourself.
Madre mía, tío. Brutal. La cosa no está yendo muy bien, pero al menos he corroborado que fue compañía de Yui Mamiya. De momento, eso es todo lo que sé. Saori querrá que la ponga el día después. Vale, pues... gente, lo vamos a ir dejándolo ya por esta zona, ya por aquí. Y nada, espero que os guste así en forma de gameplay. Y los que estén siguiendo la serie les parecerá un poco así, un poco como un capítulo de Netflix. Así que nada, espero que os haya molado. Nos vemos en el siguiente episodio. Muchas gracias por verme. Ese like que siempre ayuda. Suscribirse al canal que ayuda bastante y anima bastante. Y nos vemos, chicos. Un saludo. Chao.